What would you do if the man who called you brother was the one to shatter your entire world? It was 2 a.m., the blue glow of my phone screen illuminating the dark bedroom. And the name flashing was Mark, my wife Sarah's brother. His voice, usually boisterous, was a strained whisper. You deserved to know the truth, David. I saw them. At the Hotel Monaco in Chicago, room 47, Sarah and him, the words hung in the air, a venomous fog, suffocating me. My heart didn't just break, it imploded, leaving a gaping, freezing void. I stared at Sarah, sleeping peacefully beside me, her face angelic in the moonlight, a cruel mask over a monstrous secret. The world tilted, and I knew with a chilling certainty that nothing would ever be the same. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel. Tell us where you're from and what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. The next few weeks were a blur of forced smiles and internal screams. Sarah, my wife of 10 years, the woman I'd built a life with in our quiet Dallas suburb, was a stranger. The humiliation was a constant burning ember in my gut. Every touch, every shared laugh, every I love you felt like a fresh stab. I started noticing things, small at first, then glaring. Her phone, once left carelessly on the counter, was now always clutched in her hand or face down. Late-night texts quickly dismissed as just work stuff. The new, expensive lingerie she bought, not for me, but for someone else. One Tuesday, I found a receipt for a high-end restaurant, Capitol Grill in downtown Dallas, tucked deep in her purse. It was for two, dated a night she claimed to be working late. My hands trembled as I held it, the elegant script mocking me. Then came the phone calls, hushed, hurried conversations she'd taken in the other room, her voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. The man on the other end, I imagined, was the one Mark had seen. No. The man who was stealing my life, piece by agonizing piece. Sarah, meanwhile, grew colder, more distant. Once warm eyes now held a calculating glint. She'd snap at me for trivial things, manipulate conversations to make me feel like I was the problem. She became an expert at gaslighting, twisting my growing suspicions into my own insecurities. You're being paranoid, David, she'd say, her voice dripping with faint concern. Are you feeling okay? You seem stressed. All the while she carried on, feeling untouchable, protected by her web of lies. The affair partner, a man named Richard, a colleague from her marketing firm, was equally smug. I'd seen him at company events, a slick, self-satisfied grin plastered on his face. He'd look at me with an almost imperceptible smirk, a silent acknowledgement of his conquest. They thought they were so clever, so discreet. I remember one night, sitting alone in our living room, the house silent except for the hum of the refrigerator. Sarah was out with friends. I felt a profound, crushing loneliness, a despair so deep it threatened to swallow me whole. I cried until my eyes burned, until there were no more tears left. That night, something inside me snapped. The loyal, trusting husband died, and in his place, a cold, calculating strategist was born. The emotional breakdown was my crucible, forging a resolve harder than steel. I began to gather proof, meticulously, patiently. I installed discreet cameras in the house, not to catch them, but to document Sarah's increasingly erratic behavior and her late-night departures. I hired a private investigator, a former NYPD detective named Frank Miller, operating out of a small office in Queens, New York. Frank was a ghost, leaving no trace. He tracked Sarah and Richard to clandestine meetings and dimly lit bars in Miami's South Beach, to a secluded Airbnb in Los Angeles, and back to that same Hotel Monaco in Chicago. He provided me with time-stamped photos, hotel receipts, and even audio recordings of their whispered conversations, their laughter, their plans. Each piece of evidence was a shard of glass, piercing my heart, but also sharpening my resolve. I learned about their shared bank account, their plans to leave me, to start a new life with my money. The legal traps were laid with surgical precision. I consulted with the sharpest divorce attorney in Dallas, a woman known for her ruthless efficiency. We drafted documents that would ensure Sarah walked away with nothing. Not a penny of my hard-earned money, not a single asset we'd built together.
Ow.
The social traps were more subtle, more insidious. I started dropping hints to mutual friends, carefully chosen words about Sarah's stress and unusual hours. I cultivated relationships with key figures in her professional network, planting seeds of doubt about her integrity and commitment. I even anonymously tipped off her company's HR department about potential ethical breaches, knowing Richard was also involved. The public exposure happened on a crisp autumn morning in a Dallas courtroom. The divorce proceedings were set to be a quiet affair, but I had other plans. My attorney, with a theatrical flourish, presented the mountain of evidence, the photos, the receipts, the audio. The courtroom gasped. Sarah, initially defiant, crumbled. Her face, usually so composed, contorted into a mask of shock and horror as her carefully constructed world imploded around her. Richard, called as a witness, squirmed under cross-examination, his smugness replaced by a pathetic, sweating cowardice. The judge, a stern woman with no tolerance for deceit, ruled decisively in my favor. Sarah was stripped of everything. Her reputation, her career, her social standing, all gone. The news spread like wildfire through our community, fueled by the whispers I had so carefully orchestrated. Friends abandoned her, her colleagues shunned her. She was a pariah. I saw her once more, months later, in a dingy diner off a forgotten street in Los Angeles, where she'd fled in disgrace. She was alone, nursing a cold cup of coffee, her eyes hollow, her once vibrant spirit extinguished. She didn't see me. I watched her for a long moment, feeling nothing but a profound, chilling emptiness. The revenge was complete, but it brought no joy, no triumph, only a quiet, haunting silence. The silence of a life irrevocably broken, not just hers, but mine too, the end.